Yeah, and right away, we see they're going to be starting on Stadium. We also see that we're going with what we expected, Greninja and Mario. What I'm expecting to see is kind of either poking with fireballs or the shuriken, try and feel out what happens when you are pressured safely from a distance. And then we start trying to move into that kind of combo game with these stray nairs or up to mid.
Well, right out the gate, I already see that like Abe kind of already gave a little bit of stage control to Jarvis. Like, it's never a good situation. You never really want to force yourself where you're already at the ledge.
Right. And especially against a player like Jarvis who gets tons of tempo very early. But you don't want to run to the corner as a habit and surrender that stage control, especially against a character like Greninja.
Yeah, Greninja is already, I feel like one of the more oppressive advantage state characters in this game. Like, he has advantage, he has it.
Okay. But one thing that I do like from Abe is that he's almost challenging Jarvis for coming in. And, you know, we might have spoken too soon about the advantage state, but what Abe has been doing well is that when Jarvis does come in a little bit too foolhardy, you saw it right there, that landing just before he hits the ground, he pulls out a bear to deter Jarvis from trying to extend the advantage state too far.
Well, the thing about Mario is that, like, being tied to stock isn't really a tie stock. You're probably down to stock. This character can just, like, explode on you, just as we saw there with Abe.
But again, Greninja can also rack up damage, but I think one fear that Jarvis has to have is, and you've seen this as well with the Street, where as a Greninja player, once you reach a certain percent threshold, your kill confirms just stop working outright.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems Greninja has, where like you definitely need to be at certain percentages. Sometimes his multi-hits don't work either. It can be kind of frustrating as a Greninja player when you're dealing with characters at certain percent. So dropped the combo right there, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately dropping the combo. Well, right now, what I would be more concerned about is Abe's pressure while you're at the ledge. He's doing such a good job of keeping Jarvis in disadvantage, and kind of not even just keeping him guessing, but instilling a fear in him, saying, look, every option that looks like it's covered, you have to choose one.
Ooh, that was an interesting option. I've never seen down tilt into side beam, but Abe remained calm about that as he gets the up smash.
Yeah, very good use of the up smash. Again, I think one thing that I can definitely compliment Abe on, very, very safe play, not really choosing any greedy options, just choosing consistent damage all the time. But unfortunately, there we go, Jarvis closes out the stock.
As you say that greedy, like he decides to jump on stage with Dare, and that cost him heavily.
Yep.
And sometimes you gotta know when to be able to just grab ledge and take your, get out of ledge trapping situations.
Yeah, and no player is 100% perfect all the time, but Jarvis doing a phenomenal job of extending his advantage with these up air chains and kind of making Abe choose a disadvantage option, punishing him out of that. And like I said in the previous game, downloading that Yomi level 2 and forcing the adaptation early. But we're just seeing a lot of bears from Abe. So, Street, I know you play with Abe a fairly good bit. Knowing his personal habits, do you see anything that he could possibly improve on real quickly right now to seal out this game?
I mean, I definitely see them now. If he's, the jab lock right there into S smash right there. But to answer your question, it's one of those things where like Abe knows what his habits are, but like knowing your habits and being able to like actually change them are two different things, because like you won't really feel like it's a need to change until you get punched over and over and over again. So one of the things I'm seeing is that like a couple times he went up high to recover and did fireball, and he got hit a couple times. Every times he was okay, but I feel like those situations can put him in a bad spot because Mario without a jump against Greninja is pretty bad.
Gotcha. So Jarvis banned tri-flats immediately, and we're taking him to Smashville. What is your immediate feeling when you see this stage choice coming out from Abe?
Well, it makes it easier for Mario to be able to get certain platform extensions because the platform is right there. You don't have to worry about. Obviously, it's not the same as tri-plats, and he doesn't have to worry about like chasing around Jarvis because like, yeah, Mario has fireball, but honestly, Shuriken is probably a better projectile.
Yeah, and not just that, I feel like with Greninja's jump, he can punish fireballs in the air much more quickly and swiftly than other characters who have similar types of options. I mean, right now, it looks like it's Abe's game right now. He's controlling center, pushing Jarvis off, looking for these options. But, like you said, just using that center platform to just control Jarvis's movement.
Also, I don't think drag down up airs will work into up smash on the stage. I don't think Greninja's up smash hits on Smashville. I could be wrong about that, but
yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm fairly impressed with right now is
yeah, I think that was I think Jarvis threw out a move. I'm not sure what move he threw out, but that was definitely an extended hurt box right there.
It looked like he was maybe going for an F smash, maybe an F tilt of some kind with how Greninja reared back, but Abe calling out that option very well with an F smash. But again, I think Abe is just taking very calculated risks throughout this entire set and kind of trying to get Jarvis to swing at him recklessly and then start a combo on Jarvis that could end in a swift stock with the wrong decision.
You know, what I noticed from both of these characters, and I like that early up B right there, is that like both these characters have really like good ways to like frame trap you into like, oh, you air dodge? Okay, I'm just gonna hit you on the way down. Like it's both of these characters are really impressive in advantage.
Absolutely, but similarly, I think Mario's disadvantage is, oh no.
Wow, I love that though. Like, that's what good mix-ups are. Like, Jarvis was definitely not expecting that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're not ready, Abe could have dropped that stock without any second decision.
Oh yeah, if he was at higher percentage, that would have been death right there. But I feel like either way, Abe right now has the momentum in this game, whether it's because of the counter pick stage or just playing better this game.
Yeah, and one thing that I do want to see more from Jarvis is what he was doing game one, where he calls out Abe for whiffing an aerial. It may not have been completely unsafe, but it was unsafe enough to where Greninja can start a chain. We haven't really seen him land any consecutive chains on Abe, and Abe has just been punishing all these habits left and right, looking for a jump and calling him out with fair.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to punish, especially if you're afraid that, like, you know, we see a lot of Abe's doing a lot of up smashes and Jarvis getting hit by it, so, and it has something to say that he finished off the stock, just with the up smash.
Yep. So taking away FD in town from Greninja. Now I don't know if there is DSR for this bracket, but
I am not sure with that either. But I feel like those picks were not really because of Greninja. It was more because Mario's disadvantage is really bad, and so banning those stages is probably helpful.
Now one thing that I like is that Jarvis took Abe essentially to, you know, glorified catalyst without walls.
Yeah. I like this stage.
Yeah, I think Greninja also greatly enjoys this stage just because of how similar it is to Kalos. Take away the wall jump option from Mario, but also you distance yourself a little bit similarly to PS2, and we saw Jarvis had a pretty good amount of success on that stage.
The blast zones are shorter too, so easier to get kills just like that. And wow, that's, you know, what we've seen from these first few games is that one player gets off to a pretty fast start.
Yeah, and additionally to that note, when that player gets off to that fast start, if they're able to get another stock within quick succession, it's generally a landslide, it looks like, right out of the gate. The other player may have time to adapt, but what we've seen from game 1 and 2 Street, it doesn't look like it can be that way. Right now, Abe playing pretty safe, though.
Well, the thing about this matchup is that, like, if one player gets off to a really good start, like, both of these characters kind of have to, like, take some straight hits, and that ends up making it really hard to come back. Like, I wouldn't say that either of these characters are necessarily comeback characters if you know how to play against them. I'm like, wow, that was a great weight right there.
Oh, yeah. And I wouldn't call them comeback by any set, but what they do very well is when they are behind, they do have several ways to kind of edge out of stock and then start, ooh, very close. But Jarvis is just doing such a phenomenal job of holding this advantage, but Abe is calling him out consistently with that up smash.
And you just saw Abe just air dodge there. That's because he was preemptively trying to air dodge just in case of the side B right there. So that's a good conditioning tool, and so we'll see later on if that ends up catching on in Jarvis or not.
Yeah, and even there, if he knows that Abe is thinking about an air dodge, there's a way for him to punish that, like we saw in the last stock, where he just kind of jumped up and down the ledge, baiting an option, waiting for the flood, and immediately punishing him with back air.
Yeah, not a lot you can do when Greninja is just like spamming back air at ledge and you're at high pursuit.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel good, unfortunately, but if there is any character that can come back in this scenario, and it's Mario, and if there's a player that can do it with that character, it's definitely Abe.
I agree. I mean, if Abe can get this stock done with, like, all it takes is like one good grab or whatever to get things going with Mario.
Yeah, now, I like that trunk attempt from Jarvis, but I know we mentioned it last game street. He said that Abe is very aware of his habits. I don't see him going for the fireball necessarily as much right now, and I see a little bit more of a safe recovery. Would you say that's a pretty good adaptation by Abe?
I do, because like once you get punished by something a couple times, you should be able to know it's like, hey, maybe I need to stop doing this. And even though now he's down in this set, like I feel like that's good adaptation on his part to like, hey, if you're gonna beat me, you're not gonna beat me because I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one that so Abe won on Smashville. We saw him deliberate a fair amount in that scenario, and I think it was a pretty commanding win on Smashville. So with the Triplats gone, I think I would personally be eyeing either Smashville or Town and City, maybe even FD if that's an option. But we're going back to PS2. So,
and yeah, I kind of saw this coming because the thing is that with Mario, like you get so much off of combos because of platforms. You also just need to be able to land. Like Town City probably isn't one of Mario's best stages. Probably one of his worst, honestly. He probably does light the blast zones for that stage, but like against Greninja, it does feel like you need a place to land, and like there's when those platforms aren't gone on Town City, that's it, man. It's basically FD.
Yeah, but we also saw that Jarvis was very quick to ban FD when he won his last set, or game rather. So maybe is he banning FD as a bluff? Is he banning it for something else? But
well, the thing about Greninja is that like Greninja definitely also excels with platforms too. Being able to do drag down up airs is really good. It's not that FD is horrible like for Greninja, but if your style is definitely that, and we've seen Jarvis do a lot of drag down up airs, then like FD is not really a stage for you if you're that type of Greninja.
Yeah, one thing, Street, that I just wanted to note real quickly is what an intense reversal of situations. Abe started off very quickly getting comboed on by Jarvis, but now closing out of stock sub 100 for him.
Yeah, and a lot of that was really good ledge trapping. It's an underrated tool that I feel like a lot of players just don't use. Like, sure, like it's not an immediate kill or high damage, but keep on sending your opponent off the stage over and over again can kind of wear them down.
Yeah, and one thing that I think we can say, no way. Oh, Abe almost performed highway robbery in that scenario. But what I think I'm seeing from Abe is just a little bit more composure. He's not beating himself up for a game where he might have lost, like on his glorified Kalos, but he's just waiting to make a good decision. And again, Jarvis's use of this side B has been so good.
Yeah, it's been really good, and as Abe takes another stock there, I honestly feel like this first five might be come down to like the stage picks, honestly, if you think about it. Every Greninja in the world just cringes right there because the up smash not working, because that's the common thing with Greninja.
I mean, look, Sakurai, buff the Belmonts, give Greninja a better up smash. Like, we're not asking for much. But what I could see right now is that Jarvis is, similar to the last set, there wasn't really any blowout games except for one fluke where, we had Spike blowouts, honestly, in that Game 2 scenario. But this is just a commanding game from Abe right now.
I agree. I think that right now, if you're Jarvis, like, obviously you continue playing, but, see what you can take from this information of this game leading up to the next game.
Yeah,
as Abe gets the JV3 right there.
Yeah. And what a great point that you made there, Street, is you have to shake this off mentally. Even if you lose, even if you get beat up pretty badly, you have to just shake it off and know, all right, what did he do? What did he exploit in that run? What's the situation with DSR? So I don't think...
Yeah, so the thing is, I really feel like this game is going to come down to stage picks. I think both of them are pretty even on PS2 as we've seen, as they've both taken one game from each. I also think it's kind of weird though that like if both of these players don't want to pick on FD, I don't feel like why they feel the need to ban it then, because like they could definitely probably prevent themselves from playing on a stage that they don't want to play on anyways if they feel like both of them are going to ban FD.
Yeah, especially, and I think that's a very underrated point that you just made, Street, is that people don't take into the psychology of the ban, where you could bluff with a ban and say, look, I really don't want to go to Yoshi's, so I'll ban Battlefield and Town. It's like, wait, I know Yoshi's a bad stage for him. Why didn't he ban that? Maybe he has something new that I don't know about. But they're just driving home these combos.
Ooh, I think that was a bad DI right there. I don't think he was supposed to kill that early. But either way, Abe is up this game by a pretty good amount. But Greninja can definitely bring this back. And oh yes, Greninja's Up smash actually worked that time.
Yeah, unfortunately not taking the stock though. But like we said, Jarvis does have options to come back, but it also requires getting past Abe. He's made such good adaptations throughout the course of this game, especially when it comes to his combo game. Like right there, consistent 62%, and Abe just threatening this ledge so much.
And he took what he could get there. Like he could have if he felt like Jarvis was gonna be greedy and like air dodge or something, like he could have went for the fair, but like he took his damage and then just came back general stage and like
again, another dominating game from Abe, and this time he has even less percent on him than the previous round.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you run it back on the stage, like you better really hope that like you learn to adapt to what the player's doing. Ooh, almost got the jab out there. Like, yeah, I feel like this is probably Abe's strongest showing so far in this set.
Yeah, I mean, there's also something to be said about when a player like Abe or Jarvis starts feeling themselves and getting that momentum. They're not in a good position when they start getting that headstrong mentality, knowing that they just have a beat on you.
Yeah, I think for the first time, I really feel like one of these players is definitely like I feel Jarvis is definitely fishing for Up smash now. Like
just right there.
He kind of like, you know, that's one of those things where it's like, I just want him to die, but he's like not dying. It's just like, okay, hopefully he lands right here, kind of thing.
Yeah, and one thing that I think as a player, as you grow, you know, not deviating from your confirms and just having the confidence to say, this is going to land, is a talent in itself. Like, yes, you could get lucky, which luck, depending on the argument, could be a skill, but you don't want to start throwing out these up smashes, because if Abe catches onto that, it's Bear City, and he's going to take you out.
I feel like the other thing is too, like, I feel like maybe Jarvis should be a little bit more comfortable with his recovery with Greninja, because Greninja has a pretty decent recovery. And like, Abe going off the stage, and anytime he goes low, he stalls with Kate, which is smart, because you're not trying to get hit by the Hydro front from Greninja. But the thing is that, like, if you know he's gonna cave, like, you can wait a second to back air instead of like immediately going back to stage.
So it was another JV2 from Abe, but what we noticed there is the Street. Earlier we mentioned that if you're playing as Greninja and you're holding shield and getting, I don't want to say mash shot because that has a negative connotation, but safe aerials are harassing your shield consistently, you don't have any choice as Greninja. You have to bite the bullet. And I don't think this is any position that Jarvis wants to be in. Interesting that he's going back to Smashville, though.
Well, I think, you know, it's not necessary that, like, yeah, of course, if you're being hit on with the aerials and you're forced to shield, then, like, obviously every character in the game has to do it, even if their out shield options aren't that great. But I think it's about positioning. Like, why are you being forced to shield? Like, why did you position yourself in that area? It's more of those kind of things naturally, just not the fact that you're actually shielding.
Right. So it isn't necessarily just a situational awareness thing. It is almost like a game state mentality where Jarvis game 1 was doing such a good job of commanding center stage and putting Abe in a combo blender. Right now, Abe is just essentially putting on a clinic of how to play Mario.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like you said, like, Jarvis actually had the counter pick and he went to Smash Field, and I'm not sure necessarily why, because if anything, I feel like Mario probably gets more out of this. And right now, it's not. I don't even feel like it's like execution. Abe's just getting a lot of hard reads right now.
Yeah, and one thing that I would say to that note, Abe can still consistently defending the ledge very well, commanding stage control. But above that, I feel like he's caught on to Jarvis' habits, and Jarvis hasn't really adopted his game plan to challenge Abe in this way. We're going for the same consistent options, which are these back airs at the ledge. We're looking for an up smash to try and fish kill, and Abe is just waiting for it.
Ooh, good back air there, and that was untechable right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like we said this earlier, like the first to 5 is definitely all about adjustment to who you're playing against. It's not necessarily just about like your skill or tech with your character. So at this point, I've seen Abe adjust a lot. Where Jarvis is kind of playing the same, and that's kind of why, like right now, Abe is winning this set. But it's still anyone's game. It's close to even, and Jarvis still has a chance to get the set back to 3-3.
Yeah, and right now, it is anyone's game at the moment, but with the amount of momentum Abe has, you're not even in this situation.
Oh yeah, I agree. Momentum is a huge thing, once you have it, it's up to the other player to either grab it back or for you to do something to make you lose it. And if you're playing safe and going for only punishes, then you're never going to do anything to lose it. So it's up to the other player to, gain that momentum back.
Yeah, and what we're seeing right now is Jarvis is kind of getting a little bit of a return to form, going for these combos, going for a little bit of chip damage that extends into these up air strings. But I don't know if this is exactly what he could be doing. Is this the best course of action? Because once A figures out a planned attack against this, there's no telling how fast this series could be over.
And like I said, up smash didn't even hit on this stage. But it was curious. I just saw that Abe literally just ran up and grabbed after jumping off the platform, and Jarvis didn't move. I feel like, and that was a GI mix-up right there with the dare. But the thing is that if your opponent can literally get off platform and just run up and grab you, and without you moving, I feel like that's a situation where you're really nervous about what your opponent's gonna do.
Yeah, and especially in this situation, what I can see is we mentioned risk-reward benefits as a player. When you are in this situation, you're down against a player obviously just as talented as you are, just as good as you are, but I don't think there is a benefit to just going for these same consistent options over and over and over if we know that Abe has a read on you and he's going to punish you consistently.
I agree. I mean, you consider that a matchup, is even or slightly even or whatever you want to say. At that point, it's up to the players and how they adjust to each other. And so then you have to be able to figure out, okay, what do I need to adjust? It's not just about conditioning your opponent. You have to be, hey, maybe you're doing something that your opponent is being conditioning you. So it's up to you to figure out that stuff and be able to adapt to that. And right now, I think Abe is winning that, and it shows in the box score.
Yeah, and one thing that we like right now is that Abe is just waiting for Jarvis to take a somewhat aggressive option and then converting it into something like an F smash in that situation. But you see, look, we mentioned how Jarvis had stage control throughout the majority of this set, but it looks like Abe has taken that play from his book.
Man, it can be tough because, all the little stuff seems to, and that's kind of, you know, unfortunately, like for Abe, but like for Jarvis, you know, maybe this can help him out a little bit, where like, okay, swing the momentum a little bit, because we just talked about like it's up to the player to lose it, and right there, when you SD, that's definitely you losing a little bit of momentum, because you're gonna feel like, dang, why did I SD like that?
Yeah, especially at a low percent. Ooh. And even there, Jarvis with a up B that was a little bit errant.
I think that was probably a misinput. I'm pretty sure he probably meant to do like water shuriken. But he didn't die from it, so at least he's still alive and he got rage.
Yeah.
You gotta take the positives out of things.
Yeah, and you know what we need to see is that Abe just kind of has to take things in stride, whether it's getting your jump stolen from you or something else along those lines. Abe is still in a driver's seat. He's only taking just shy of 50%, and he is constantly putting pressure all over Jarvis.
I feel really impressed about what Abe's doing, because it's not just like he's doing Mario. He's really not even doing that. Like, what it really is that, like, okay, I'm ledge trapping. Like, I know you're gonna roll right here. I know you're gonna jump right here. You're gonna do an attack. Okay, I'm just gonna wait to up smash, because my up smash is just joining. Like, wow. Yeah, and Jarvis taking a minute to breathe right now because he knows he's on his last stop potentially.
Yeah, and one thing that I did want to mention was that while you're watching Abe, he isn't just playing the Greninja matchup, he's playing the Jarvis matchup. Right. He's learned Jarvis, his habits, whether, I wouldn't necessarily say intimately, but he has a solid understanding of what Jarvis is going for. So this is how a player of his caliber is showing out. These situations build better players.
You know, as someone who plays with Abe a lot, I've seen it a lot this set, but that's just how he is. He's a parry punish person, so he's probably one of the better players in our state when it comes to parry. And he's got a lot of parry punishes throughout this set, and it's really capitalized because like he's always gone.
Oh no, here it goes.
You gotta pause for the Mario stuff, because like once you get stuff going.
Look, there is no shortage of flashy plays here at 404 Esports. And Abe is definitely trying to put one in for the highlight books right now.
I have liked what Jarvis has done when Abe has been at ledge. Really a tool that a lot of people don't utilize a lot in this game, because everyone wants to press buttons, but sometimes just jumping and then just landing empty, hopping into nothing, and just waiting out your opponent because they just don't want to sit there and shield. That's, you know, really impressive, and